what's up everyone? My name's William, and today we're going to be going over rearranging MIDI events in Logic Pro. So first of all, I've just created a new session here, and I've loaded up an instrument track and put an EXS24 on the instrument track. I went to the Steinway Grand Piano 2 preset on the EXS24. You can just click right here and go down to Factory Acoustic Pianos and Steinway Grand Piano 2 if you want to use that same preset as I did. Next, I recorded some MIDI, just, some basic notes here. Just so this is what we're going to be using today because we're going over rearranging MIDI events. We'll be manipulating these notes here. But rearranging MIDI is a very important topic when talking about Logic or when talking about any DAW really, because when you're working in Logic or any of these other DAWs, you're more than likely going to be running into a decent amount of MIDI. You need MIDI to use instruments in Logic or instruments you download. So it's a super important part of making music in Logic. So first of all, if we don't have this MIDI view open right here, I'm just going to close it real quick. We can always double click on our MIDI region and it'll open it up. So that's a nice way to, open up this MIDI view. And we can see right on the left of this MIDI view, we have a piano roll. We have some quantization options, velocity, things like that we'll go over in different lessons. But in the main view, you have MIDI notes. Of course, you can see all our MIDI notes that we have here, and a brief look at what velocity they're at by the color. Again, we'll go over velocity in a later lesson. So a couple of things you can do to edit MIDI. You can just simply click and drag a note to move it around. Simple as that, to move around stuff. If you want to shorten or lengthen a note, you can go over to the edge of the note, and it'll give you this this mouse icon. It's different than the pointer. It's a bracket, looking icon, and you just click and drag, and you can change the length of the note, or you can go to the beginning and do the same thing, change where the beginning starts. So those are some very simple ways to edit MIDI, but again, those are, that's honestly, the main three things, when editing MIDI. And when doing these three things, you can actually do it with multiple notes at the same time. If I highlighted these four notes right here, I could shorten all of them at the same time by going to any one of the highlighted notes and getting this bracket, and clicking and dragging. Or I could do the same with the beginning. Just clicking and dragging at the beginning of the note, and all four of the highlighted notes are changing. Same goes for moving. And other things. Another cool way to edit MIDI, other than those basic ways right there, is you can actually draw in MIDI in this MIDI editor window. So first of all, you can easily create notes by just simply right-clicking somewhere and clicking on Create Note. That's a fast way to just create another note. However, there's actually a faster way even. If we went up here, this is our command click area, this drop-down box right here, and we clicked on it, and we went down and we made sure Pencil Tool is selected. So if we make sure Pencil Tool is selected, this command click feature, what it essentially does is if we're holding down command, we get our second option here, which our second option is the Pencil Tool. So I'm holding down command, and now we get this little pencil. So this is another way to draw in MIDI. Rather than right clicking and creating note, we can just hold the command button and simply click. So it's just a much faster way to draw in MIDI if you wanted to do it that way. And of course, you can highlight multiple notes as well and click the delete button on the keyboard or the backspace button, and it'll get rid of those two notes that we had highlighted. But as far as basic MIDI editing goes, that's actually about it. It's just simply shortening notes, moving them around. There's a couple different commands that we can use to make some things faster. We can cut and paste with, Command X is cut, Command V is paste. So if I highlighted that note, click Command X, it's going to cut that note. Drag our marker where we wanted to paste it, and then click Command V. We could paste it there. I'm going to undo that though. We can also just copy it. It's the same process, except instead of Command X, we click Command C, and it'll just create a copy of it rather than taking it away. And so when we paste it, we have it over here as well. The last command that's very useful is the Octave Change command, which if we highlight a bunch of notes, or if we just click on a single note, you can do all of these functions with one note or multiple notes. And we highlighted all of these top notes here, and we held Shift, Option, and then pressed the down arrow. I pressed the down arrow twice there. It actually changes our octave. And I can press the up arrow to change the octave upwards. So, you just hold Shift, Option, and press up or down on the keyboard, and it shifts your notes up or down one octave depending on whether or not you pressed up or down on the keyboard. So that's a very useful tool. If you thought something was a little too high, you wanted to see what it sounded like an octave lower or something like that, that's a very useful tool. But for basic editing, that's about it. Moving on to the more advanced options is these functions over here. This box over here that says functions, we can click on it, and then we get a drop-down box. Some of this other stuff we don't have to worry about right now. It's quantizing, muting notes, things like that. What we're looking at is this MIDI Transform option, because it opens up a new dialog box, and it has quite a few different MIDI Transform features. And what this means is if we, for example, highlighted all notes, I'm going to click Command A to highlight all of the notes. I'm going to go down to Functions, MIDI Transform, and then we can apply any sort of MIDI function we want to these MIDI notes. So, for example, if we wanted it to be double speed at what it is, which let's listen to the actual speed right now. So that's what it sounds like now. And we're going to, make sure all the notes are highlighted. Command A, go down to MIDI Transform again, and we're going to play it at double speed. So I'm going to click the double speed option. It'll bring up a dialog box. All of these are fairly similar, when it comes to the function that they're doing. If we just wanted double speed, we wouldn't have to change anything. We could just click Operate only. It goes in depth, though. There's these are different, terms for different things. There's add, subtract, min, max, where if we're doubling the speed, we're essentially dividing it by 2, dividing the MIDI note length by 2. So that's all this is saying. It's saying it's being divided by 2. And then we're going to click Operate. And now you can see the notes have all shrunken to half the speed, and it now takes up half of the region, compared to what it used to. Now, if we just close this dialog box, we can play this and hear what it sounds like. So now it's playing at double the speed that it was. And that's essentially what these MIDI transform functions are. It's just doing different things that you could do manually. I could really, without those, in a world where we didn't have MIDI functions, I could, shorten each note and drag the next one back and shorten the note to half length, drag it back, that kind of thing. But with MIDI functions, you don't have to do that. That's a lot of wasted time if you had to do that. You can just click MIDI Transform and find the transform option you want to do. There's a lot of different options here. Definitely experiment with some of these, double speed and half speed. There's also reverse pitch, position, transpose. You can transpose all of the notes, a certain amount of semitones. You have some random pitch, random velocity, things like that. So it will kind of randomize the features of the MIDI notes, humanize, multiple things like this. All really cool effects. They all work pretty much the same way as the double speed did. For example, I'll show you half speed and show you that it's literally the exact same thing, except instead of division times 2, it's multiplication times 2, because we're multiplying the notes. We're doubling the length in order to get half of the speed. So that's about it for rearranging MIDI, though. Functions can go in depth. It's really just experimentation, learning what you like to do, but it's just very fast ways to do to do different MIDI adjustments that are pretty standard. For example, half speed, double speed, things like that. So I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. I hope you learned something. Again, my name is William. Thank you for watching.